All right, welcome testing hello students. Just want to thank you for joining here. Just want to go ahead and get started over here. Let's do it. So this section is 1.6, multiplying and dividing uh, all real numbers. All right, so for this one here, we have the rules for multiplication. So we have a positive times a positive is a what? Positive. Good job. Like 3 times 3 will be positive 9. This one here, we have positive times a negative is a negative. Negative times a positive is a negative. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Last time when we did these problems, I actually did it this way with the tic-tac-toe. So I said everybody is positive here, right? Positive times a positive is a positive. And then I said everybody else is negative. So negative times negative is positive, negative times positive is negative, positive times negative is negative. No matter which way you go, like in the game when you win, they're all winners. So there's no losers here. So like negative times negative is a positive. Whichever way you go, they're all true statements. Okay, so this can help you do memorization basically. All right, and here negative times negative is positive. You can see here negative times negative is positive, negative times negative is positive. All right, if you need to write this down, please do so by pausing the video. All right, let me go to the next one here. So this is for you to try also. I need you to pause the video and try these problems and see how you do. All right, this is, please don't use calculator. We'll use calculator after to test it. So just try it out, pause the video, write it down. All right, I'm assuming you paused the video, so now we're gonna keep going. The first one, we got 6 times negative 8. Well, I know positive times negative is a negative, so my answer is gonna have to be negative. And I know 6 times 8 is 48, so negative 48. So hopefully you got that. Thumbs up if you did. This one here, we have a negative and a negative, so our answer is gonna be positive, so positive 35. Here we have a quantity, negative 3 to the third power. My answer will be negative 27. Anytime you have a negative raised to an odd exponent, the answer is going to be negative. Here, because the exponent, the number inside is negative, raised to an even exponent, that's going to be positive. So we get 81. Negative 3 to the 4, this is 3 to the 4, which is 81, and then the answer should be negative. Okay, should be negative 81. This should be negative 81. There it is. Here, 3 to the 4 is 81, and then keep the negative also. So negative 81. This one here is 2 times. For this one, just do one at a time, okay? So like, I'll highly recommend to do this 2 first, right? And put another color here. Do this 2 first, right? And then do the next 2. So let me make an emphasis here. Do this 2 here, right? And then do this, multiply with the negative 4. So like 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and negative 6 times negative 4 will be positive 24. All right, that's supposed to be a check. All right, next one here. Let's go. Here we have, I would like to take care of the sign first. So like I would do negative times negative is positive, positive times negative is negative, and then you just do the math. 5 times 6 is 30, 30 times 7 is 21. 210. I was thinking 6 times 5 is 30, and then I do 3 times 7 is 21, and then I just add the 0. However you like to do it. It's 210, negative 210. All right, I'll go to the next one here. Let's go to the next one. All right, so for this one right here, we have the properties. I'm going to go over the properties here that you need. So a property, the commutative property is very important here. The commutative property is A times B equals to B times A. And here's an example. 3 times 5 is the same as 5 times 3, and that is called the commutative property. Take a few minutes to write this down, and then write the other ones as I'm going along. Associative property. A times B times C is the same as A times B times C. Because multiplication is commutative, no matter where I start, the multiplication will always be the same. And here's an example. 2 times 3 times 4 is the same as 2 times 3 times 4. Here, I can actually, I'll do the math so you guys can see that it works. So 2 times 3 will be 6, right? And 6 times 4, of course, we know is 24. Here we do 3 times 4 is 12, right? And I know 12 times 2 is also 24. So the same. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here we have 1 times a is a. That's the identity. Any number times 1 is itself. So this is 1 here. 5 times 1 is 5. The zero product property, any number times 0 is 0. Like 6 times 0 is 0. Opposites. Opposites basically like if I have a positive a times a negative 1, it will make it a negative a. Here's an example. 7 times negative 1 will be a negative 7. So the opposite, just times it by negative 1, and it's the opposite. Okay, what is the opposite of 13? Take a few seconds to write it down. And the answer should be negative 13. Good job. All right. The next one here is what is the reciprocal of 13? So that is basically reciprocal is 1 over the number. There should be 1 over 13. Okay. Go to the next one. Okay, so for the next one, excuse me. For the next one here, let's continue. So we have rules for division. So the rules for division will be positive divided by a positive equals a what? What do you guys think? Positive divided by positive is what? It's a positive, right? So the same thing applies. All right, let's continue, you guys. So positive divided by a positive is a positive. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, and a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So let's do it again. Positive divided by positive is positive. Positive divided by negative is negative. Negative divided by positive is negative. And negative divided by negative is a positive. The same thing applies with this here. So I can actually do my tic-tac-toe here. Let me show you 1 second. So I can actually use, right? I can do that. And then I can say, okay, everybody's positive here. It's positive. And then everything else will be negative. I can change the color here so you guys can see. So then everything else will be negative, 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 negative. All right. Same thing applies for division and multiplication. Let's keep going. So here's some examples for you to try. I'll do the first two and you guys do the next one. So here 10 divided by negative 2, because it's a positive divided by a negative, I know my answer will be negative. So I know right away my answer will be negative. Okay. Let me see here. And my answer is negative 5. Here 45 divided by 3. You can do long division if you want. I know the answer is going to be 15. Now you have to decide whether it's positive or negative, and then you just say negative divided by a negative. It's a positive, so my answer should be positive 15. All right. I'm actually going to do this one also. Just watch and write it down also. For this one here, I have negative 7 divided by negative 1 over 3. So I have to rewrite this because it's a little hard just to do it this way, and I want to put it in this format. Okay. So this is like a over b divided by c over d. So look what happens when I do that. This I can rewrite it as negative 7 divided by negative 1/3. Every time you divide, the division property can turn into the multiplication. So this here will change into multiplication, and then you times it by the reciprocal. Dividing by a number is the same as multiplying times its reciprocal. Reciprocal means 1 over the number. Or think of the opposite, right? So if I have 1 over 3, then that would be 3 over 1. Just flip it over. And this is the sign, you just keep it. The reciprocal keeps the sign, the opposite changes the sign. So here my answer, I know -7 times -3 will be positive 21. See how much this is much easier to solve than this or than that, right? So rewriting it, of course, is going to help us make it easier for us. Okay, for this one here, I have 2 over 3 divided by -8 over 9. So I don't need to do anything here. All I need to do is bring this down, 2 over 3. Okay, and then divided by the reciprocal of this, which will be 9 over 8. And just put the negative there. So 2 over 3 times, so this here would change to multiplication. And then times -9 over 8. And then just multiply straight across. 2 times 9 is 18, and 3 times 8 is 24. I did the shortcut, but you don't have to do that. So what I did here is I did half of 2 is 1, half of a is 4, and then I say 3 goes into 3 times, and I say 3 times 3 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 1 is 4. The other way you could have done it, do it right now. 2 times 9 is -18, and 3 times a is 24. Feel free to pause the video, okay, if I'm going too fast for you. And then here, you can think of one number goes into into 18 and 24. You can do 2, right? Divided by 2, take half. I know this is 9 over 12. You can't take half anymore, right? Because they're not even numbers. Only one of them. So then you'd have to divide it by 3. And I know 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So same answer, right? -3/4. Pause the video, please. I know this was a hard problem. All right, for this one here, evaluate. For evaluate, just had to replace this value into here. Let me show you how I did it. So the x is the -3/4, and then the y is -5 over 2. The property is here, a over b divided by c over d, okay, equals to a over b times the reciprocal of d over c. Recommend writing this down. We're going to actually do that right now here. So we're just going to rewrite this, -3 over 4, and then times it by the reciprocal, which will be 2 over 5. So see right here, I have written it this form, just a over b divided by c over d. Then I'm going to just change this to multiplication. Notice that the first fraction stays. What changes is the second one, and it's the reciprocal. You just flip it over. Pause the video. This was a hard concept. Then I just multiply straight across. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 5 is 20. So that's 6 over 20, right? And don't forget the negative. So negative is a positive. And then half of 6 is 3. And half of 20 is 10. So this is my final answer. Right? That's my final answer. Right here. Right here. But this will simplify from here. Okay, let's go to the next slide. The domain, I had to teach you this. This is a really good concept. You'll see this in the GD. So the domain is basically the set of all inputs, or in other words, the set of all x numbers. So the x values, okay, is what you input into, just like a blender, right? You input carrots, you input beans, you input whatever you want to blend. Your output is what you get from the blender, right? Carrot juice or blended beans, or whatever. All right, so find the domain here. So the domain is going to be what are the values of x that x can be such that x is not equal to 0. So in other words, here the domain is going to be all real numbers, okay? All real numbers here, because all x could be anything except 0. So all real numbers except 0. Well, how do you know what the bottom is going to be, Mr. Vasquez? Well, that's really easy, kiddo. This is how you do it. So all you have to do is just set this here equals to 0. So I can just say x plus 5 equals 0. So for x, and I get minus 5, and x equals to negative 5. This is what x cannot be, okay? The answer is not x equals negative 5. To find the domain is find all the restrictions that x cannot be. In other words, if I let x equal 0, you're kind of doing the opposite. You're going to get 0 here, right? So negative 5 plus 5 will be 0, and you're going to have a number over 0 because there's no number times 0 that will give you 7. So any number over 0 will be undefined. That's why to find the domain is all real numbers except 0. So here the answer will be all real numbers except negative 5. See? X cannot be equals negative 5. But everything else is fine. All real numbers except for negative 5. So pause the video, write this down. This is important. And the only thing you care for is this bottom number here. So you just set in the denominator equals to 0. And then solve for it. So for x, and whatever x is, you say it's not equal. Like here, you can see the answer. The answer is going to be 3/2. So x cannot be equals to 3/2. And all real numbers except for 3/2. If I'm going to do it, I can do it. This is 2x minus 3 equals 0. I add 3. I add 3. So then I get 2x equals to 3. And then I get divided by 2, divided by 2, and x equals to 3/2. But it's not really equals. X is not equals because all the values can be all real numbers except 3/2. All right, here's some for you to try. Pause the video and do it. Trusting that you guys are pausing the video as you guys are trying things by yourself. Pause it, try it. All right, I'm assuming that you paused the video. So let's do the first one. 12 times 7 is negative 84. The second one, 64 divided by negative 4, negative 16. So go over your answers, make sure that you guys got it correctly, and just grade yourself 1 out of 6, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6. If you did 3 out of 6, that's 50%. Hopefully you guys did better than that. Maybe 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 6, 100%.